So we've talked about, what executives are dealing with. We've kind of talked about a little bit of the problem statement, and then going to some good best practices. Katie kicked us off around how do you actually get in front of that person? What are the things that work to help you cut through the noise and get their attention? Now you have their attention, you're hopping on a call. So, Ted, from your perspective, monitoring a lot of sales calls, a lot of monitoring, a lot of sales reps over a long, long period of time. Love to kick it off to you in terms of what you've seen work and rapport building with an executive to lead a successful discovery call.
Yeah, I mean, look, discovery is a necessary but difficult thing, and people have been trying to crack this code for a long time. And so I can't tell you that we have the exact code to make it absolutely perfect. But I have seen enough data and listened to enough calls to tell you that you're better off if this feels like a two-way conversation than if it feels like you're just there to extract information from this person's brain. And so what you'll hear often when people talk about discovery is the next word out of their mouth is questions. You have to ask great questions. And of course that's true, but we should be following up those questions in ways that either shares an insight, but I think more importantly, just allows for some actual back and forth discussion. When you look at some of the high performer conversations that we looked in our study, it feels almost like I don't want to say a debate, but kind of like a debate where you don't want to be combative. So that's why I didn't want to use the word debate, but it does feel like there's even comfort for some amount of overlap in that discussion. And so that's what I would encourage people to think about, or maybe there's a good question you can ask that allows for that type of back and forth exchange, or sharing a piece of insight on the back end of, this resonates with me because this happens here at our organization. Just something to kind of get that discussion going.
For sure. I think understanding the executive before you get to that conversation is a big piece of this. And I think, Katie, from your side, again, kind of being in the field every day, getting ready for these conversations, what are some of the things that you put into place that help you really nail that conversation with your first conversation with an executive?
Yeah, so I think we kind of touched on it earlier, but just doing your research is so important before you're getting on a call with an executive. And just trying to find something above and beyond, oh, the weather's really bad today, or where are you dialing in from, that they probably get asked on every single sales call that they joined. If you can get on there knowing that, they like a sports team, or you maybe went to the same university, or even if there's not something really specific about them on their LinkedIn, but you can see that their company has just released a new product, ask them about how that's going, just so you can, from the get-go, they respect you more because they know that they're not just wasting their time and they're the next person in the revolving door of all the prospects you're speaking to today. There's a really kind of specific and intentional reason for speaking. I think that's just a great way for them to have that respect with you from the get-go.
I'd add on to that, at the end of the day, rapport is really about relating to each other. Mm-hmm. And so some ways to do that are talk about the kids, talk about sports teams, whatever that might be. Again, the higher up you go, I think that C-level execs appreciate it when you understand their day-to-day. So that rapport building at the top of the call can be as simple as I know you have 25 minutes for this. I totally get that. Talk about another 2 or 3 CEOs or CROs that you were talking to this week that were just like them. That helps build some credibility for you too, because you do this all the time. And now that relationship is being built around you understanding the nature of their job and the fact that they're on this call in the first place and that you're going to be tight, you're going to get to business quicker than usual. They'll tell you if they want to chit chat, right? They'll push back and be like, oh, it's all right, we can spend some time. But for the most part, you'll build a lot of credibility up front by being a little bit more brief than you usually are, maybe with some other roles that you sell into. And I love the point about doing research and knowing something relevant about their company that would take more than 2 clicks to figure out, right? So not what you see on their homepage, but what you see when you dig through something that their competitors are doing, or something in an earnings report that you can bring up that shows that you can play at that same level, that you're not, at a basic level, and you should be on the call with them.
Yeah, if it's a public company and you have, earnings reports, those are great places to look for that type of information. I love the notion of being of it being relatable, as opposed, like, rapport feels like a nebulous thing, but if I could just find a way to be relatable to you as an individual, I think that's kind of the goal, right?
100%. I think something I saw in the chat that I really liked was, don't ask a discovery question that you can Google, or ask a question that you can Google.
That's pretty funny.
I think that's a great framework. I feel like we're coaching reps, or we were reps ourselves. I think that level of expectation, like being relevant with that buyer is so important. I think you have to realize as you're talking up the chain, is the expectation they have for you as a seller in terms of understanding their business. It just gets higher and higher.